Hi, my name's Nicole Bacon. I am the Regional Vice President for the Construction Underwriting Division. I joined the Hartford right on the eve of COVID becoming a global pandemic. So my first day was March 3rd of 2020, and I work in our downtown Los Angeles office. Somebody asked me, how can you explain what you do in a simple way? And what I tell my 5-year-old is, Mommy sells promises to be there to help people when bad things happen to their company or their employees. But really that means I manage a group of people that price and recommend insurance for construction projects and for contractors. And I've been working in this line of business for over 20 years, even though I have just started with the Hartford just a couple of years ago. I have the extreme honor of working with some of the best teams in our industry. I'm a pretty extreme extrovert, and so I find the work that we do building relationships to be really exciting. I believe that we're all responsible for the energy that we bring in the room, and as a leader within a Fortune 500 company, my energy needs to be authentic and infectious. It needs to be productive and thoughtful. And the impact that we bring to our interactions has a butterfly effect that ripples through the fabric of our organization. And I take that responsibility pretty seriously, and I find it incredibly exciting to be blessed to inspire and engage with talented people every day. No 2 days are ever the same, and some days I look back on a long day of mentoring or networking or strategizing, and I think, wow, today we made the world a little bit better, and I live for those days. So the Hartford is by far one of the most inclusive and thoughtful companies I've ever worked for. Having previously worked for 2 other large insurance companies, I find it refreshing to work with a company that's so dedicated to their employees. The Hartford is a huge champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that charge is led by our chairman and CEO. We host courageous conversations, which are basically opportunities for employees to have a respectful exchange about mental health issues or work-life balance or social injustice. And I find this promotes an open dialogue to just really understand other people's perspectives. Our leaders are encouraged to bring their authentic selves to the workplace and to support authenticity within their teams. We have regular access to our most senior executives within the company to ask hard questions around pay transparency and return to work activities. And I've never worked for a company that strives so deeply to be at the forefront of these issues. As a Black woman, working in an industry that's not always dominated by people who look like me, knowing that you've got a real opportunity to grow your career at a company that's addressing historical glass ceilings, that was important to me in my decision to come here a couple of years ago. By far, my favorite thing about the Hartford is the people. We recruit, hire, and develop some of the best people in the business. I find that we really pour into our talent, and it's fantastic to work with such a talented group of genuinely kind people. The Hartford supports us in managing work-life balance, first and foremost by listening. So employee surveys are very common here at the Hartford, and we're asked our opinions on what we need for work-life balance, and the overarching response by our employees has been flexibility. As we engage in what is often called the new normal, we've embraced a new work model that fosters flexibility and innovation, inclusion and equity, really taking the best of how we operated before the pandemic and combining it with what we've learned from our time working remotely. And this new work model was basically created to drive improved productivity and performance. Each of us has an opportunity to discuss our own individual needs with our supervisors. And I'm a wife and a mother to 2 fantastic little humans. I know that I need flexibility in my schedule just as much as my team needs flexibility. And even before the pandemic, about half of our teams were remote. And so we're giving our leaders and our teams the opportunity to interpret what flexibility means to them. The advice I would give to other women looking to work at the Hartford would really start with just raising your hand. I think many women have had hard times correlating their work history and skills with positions in the corporate world. And sometimes you need to sell that correlation for an employer. For example, one of my very best hires started her career working as a waitress. In our interview, she impressed upon me that that experience taught her about dealing with difficult people, time management, and prioritization. Her tips depended on how well she could connect with the patron and the quality of her service. And she's gone on to be one of our best performers. And so sometimes when you're thinking about opportunities, keep an open mind and remember to impress upon future employers all the skill sets that you bring to the table. So if you are interested in learning more about the Hartford, please visit our profile on Fairy Godboss. We're excited to see what you can add to our teams.